This week we had some pretty good weather and it was also the 4th of July, so stay tuned to find out what fragrances I wore. Hey, good morning guys, Hunter here and welcome back to the channel where I upload weekly fragrance contests. You know what to do. Hit the subscribe button down below and also make sure to follow me over on my Instagram page. So today is of course a weekly fragrance rotation. This is a series that I basically do on a weekly basis and go over what fragrance I wore, how many sprays, the kind of weather, and of course, if that fragrance got a compliment or not. Also, let me know down below if this video looks a little bit better without the ring light kind of reflecting in my glasses, which I have seen a few people mention. But besides that, let's get right into Sunday. It was in the high 70s and kind of cloudy outside, and I went with a niche fragrance that I've had in the collection for a long time now and only wore it a few times, and it is Byredo's Gypsy Water, which I think is probably one of the most popular from the house of Byredo. And I was just in the mood for this because it has this kind of calming, almost like you're kind of walking through a forest. You got the pine trees around. Just a very smooth, relaxing fragrance. And I know it has a cult following behind it. A lot of people love this one. Me personally, I wasn't always the biggest fan of it. Still not really the biggest fan. It is just very soft, smooth, and honestly isn't really that strong either, but still does kind of just transform me to like walking through a forest, which is a very calming feeling. And on that day, I did go 5 sprays of Gypsy Water. Got no compliments. I don't remember doing that much. Plus, like I said earlier, this is a fragrance that doesn't really project or kind of has a huge sillage or anything like that. It's more so like a fragrance you want to wear in an intimate situation. Byredo is a house that I do want to try some others from them, so leave a comment down below if you have any recommendations. Monday was in the mid 70s and sunny outside, and I went with a new fragrance in the collection, but it's a classic, and it is Ralph Lauren's Polo Blue. This is the original EDT, and wow, I honestly can't believe how much I've overlooked the Polo fragrances like Polo Red, Polo Blue, because this is actually a very good kind of designer aquatic freshie fragrance that's very unique, because I believe it has a note of like cucumber, which is going to give it this very ultra fresh vibe along with this fruity melon note, which you don't usually find those notes in a lot of fragrances, at least designer fragrances, so I do respect it for that. And even with Polo Red, which I just got alongside Polo Blue at the same time, that's a very unique fragrance too, because it has this like red fruity kind of cranberry note in it. And of course these can be found at an extremely affordable price, which might make them worth it. But on Monday I did do 10 sprays of Polo Blue. The performance was decent, especially for being an EDT. It did project very heavy for the first couple hours, even though it's not really going to last all day long because it does start to kind of settle down to a skin scent a few hours in. But if you're just looking for a good projector that smells clean and fresh, this is a good option. Also on that day, got no compliments, but I could see if you do wear this around the right people asking you like, what are you wearing? You smell really good, etc. So keep that in mind as well, because it is just your kind of typical crowd-pleasing shower gel kind of blue style fragrance that a lot of people love. But that's what I chose to wear on Monday, is Polo Blue, which I'm gonna have to review very soon. Tuesday was in the low 80s and sunny outside, and I pulled out an inspired by fragrance of California Dream by Louis Vuitton, and this is Alexandria's Cali Love. Now, I wanted to wear this one because I don't own a bottle of California Dream. Then I remember that I had this in the collection, and I kind of wanted to get a feel on how the scent profile was and if I enjoyed it or not, because California Dream might be one of the next ones I get, probably even over City of Stars when it comes to the California collection. And yeah, I'm definitely gonna have to get a bottle after this wearing, because California Dream's fantastic. It's like a mandarin kind of fruity, fresh fragrance that dries down extremely musky from like the musky notes and that signature ambrette seed note that Louis Vuitton uses. And I also think is a little bit more masculine than City of Stars, which is also in the California collection. But at the end of the day, I'm gonna have to get both just to complete my Louis Vuitton collection over there, which I do have 16 bottles. Back to Cali Love, this is a fantastic inspired by version of California Dream. So if you love California Dream, you don't want to spend over 300 bucks on a bottle, this could be a great option for you. And of course, when it comes to Alexandria fragrances, these fragrances perform fantastic. On that day though, I did do my usual 10 sprays of Cali Love as well. Like I said, the performance was great, will last you all day long because these are a straight to parfum perfumes. Got no compliments on that day, wasn't really around that many people, etc. But still, absolutely going to get a bottle of California Dream very, very soon. Wednesday was in the low 90s and cloudy outside, and I pulled out Tom Ford's Costa Azzurra, and I just realized I never really wear my Tom Fords, and I own 20 bottles. It's probably because this is the only freshie that I have from Tom Ford that can be worn in like the summertime. Most of mine are like very dark fragrances. Costa Azzurra is like being in a nice resort somewhere tropical, very warm outside. It smells like vacation in a bottle. Very bright, but it dries down extremely woody, a little bit salty from the seaweed note. And it also has this oudi note in it as well. Just kind of comes across very dry. And I honestly forgot how good Costa Azzurra really is. I'm gonna have to get my nose on the parfum flanker of this one and see if it's better or if it's worse, because this is actually great. And I do remember when these were in the private blend bottles, and those blue private blend bottles, which I unfortunately don't have a bottle of, but really you still cannot go wrong with the signature line of it, kind of just like Boat Azzurra as well. So if you want a fragrance that smells like you're at a very luxurious resort, this is gonna do it for you. However, on that day, I did do 10 sprays of Costa Azzurra, got no compliments, but while wearing it on that day, I felt like I was just laying out by a very nice pool, palm trees around. That's the vibe that this gives off. Just kind of teleports you to that kind of environment. So that's what I wore for Wednesday, is Tom Ford's Costa Azzurra. Thursday happened to be the 4th of July, so shout out to everybody in obviously America that celebrates that holiday. On that day though, it was in the mid 80s and actually rainy outside, which was unfortunate, but I went with Mont Blanc's Legend Blue, which perhaps might be my favorite designer line so far within 2024, because this stuff is great. If you love something like Parfums de Marly Percival, or even the original Legend, or Abercrombie & Fitch's Fierce, then you're going to absolutely love Legend Blue, because I think this might be one of the better takes on that scent profile. This one is a little bit more aromatic, at least compared to the original Legend, and also has this very refreshing, uplifting, minty note, especially in the opening. That dries down to, of course, that signature kind of musky ambroxan note as well, which you kind of expect with this scent profile. However, I did do my usual 10 sprays, again, with Legend Blue. The performance is fantastic, much better than I was expecting, even though I have seen people say this one doesn't perform. Don't listen to those guys, because this actually performs very good, at least on my skin. Who knows, maybe me spraying 10 sprays has something to do with it, because I know a lot of people only spray like 1 to 3 sprays, which is crazy. But like I said, on that day was the 4th of July, so I pretty much went to a cookout, hung out with family and friends. I did get a compliment as well as somebody at the cookout. He just told me that I smelled really good. And believe me, when you wear Legend Blue, you will absolutely get compliments with it. It's just a given because of how good and crowd-pleasing this scent profile is. Probably one of the most crowd-pleasing scent profiles on the market. Really couldn't see many people disliking how this one smells, if I'm being honest. But that's what I wore for Thursday and the 4th of July. I had to go with this one because obviously it's a blue bottle. I thought it was fitting and I was just in the mood for it. But yeah, that's what I chose to wear. Friday was in the mid 80s and sunny outside, and I went with an expensive dumb reach in my opinion, and it is Maison Francis Kurkdjian Gentle Fluidity Silver, which is by far one of my favorite from Maison Francis Kurkdjian. It's also a very good signature scent worthy fragrance without a doubt. And this is the kind of fragrance you're going to get a heavy dose of juniper from, which makes it very aromatic, kind of gives it that gin and tonic vibe. But in my opinion, it is in the same genre as something like Green Irish Tweed, but this is 20 times better than GIT in my opinion. I've never been a fan of Green Irish Tweed at all. Just don't hate me for saying that, because I know that fragrance has a huge following. A lot of people's favorite fragrances, just for me, never been a fan of that, or even Cool Water. So if I'm looking for something a little bit similar, not identical at all, this is much less green, but it still does share a similar vibe to Green Irish Tweed, I will absolutely reach for this every time. Like I said, it is just a very expensive, luxurious, dumb reach. Anytime you don't know what to wear, this one will suit any environment, any occasion, in any situation. Probably the fragrance I would recommend the most from MFK if you just want to get one fragrance from them that can be worn all year round. Even over Baccarat Rouge, because that fragrance is overplayed now, and I do own a bottle right over there, you can probably see. But on that day, I did do 5 sprays of a Gentle Fluidity Silver, just ran some errands, had to get a lot done on that day, and that's the reason why I went with this one as well, because you really cannot go wrong with it. But yeah, that's what I chose for Friday, is Gentle Fluidity Silver by Maison Francis Kurkdjian. Wrapping the week off on Saturday, it was in the low 80s and sunny outside, and I was in the mood for something sweet and playful, and I went with Offnon's 9 p.m., which of course gets compared to Jean-Paul Gaultier's Ultramall. But honestly, it's not identical in my opinion, but still in the same family. If you want that kind of fruity, kind of clubbing fragrance, this is going to be perfect, especially for the price. In this one, you are going to get that very juicy, fruity apple note when you first apply this one, which dries down a little bit aromatic, not too much, but it has this heavy dose of spicy, creamy vanilla in the base of this one, which I think this one stands out a little bit more to Ultramall because the vanilla is amped up. And definitely one of my favorites from Afnan without a doubt. On that day, I did yet again 10 sprays of 9 p.m. This fragrance is pretty much nuclear, at least my batch. No complaints whatsoever when it comes to performance of 9 p.m. So if you want a beast mode, clubbing, kind of sweet, sexy fragrance, absolutely get your hands on 9 p.m. and it's not going to even break the bank. Also, another fragrance that this gets compared to is Lattafa Rum Silver, which I do own, and I would choose this 10 times out of 10 over Rum Silver, just because it smells a little bit more expensive and higher quality, and it is a little bit more expensive, about maybe like $10. Also on that day, got no compliments with 9 p.m. Kind of just chilled out, watched boxing, etc. Yeah, such a banger from Afnan. So that's going to do it for my weekly fragrance rotation. Let me know down below, per usual, what you guys chose to wear. I know my subscribers are always smelling great and pulling out bangers, but besides that, leave a like, subscribe if you guys haven't already, and of course, I'll catch all of you back here in my next upload. Take care, everybody.